Australia's snowy mountains are vast and wild. And they're home to an animal that's become part of local legend. I've been coming here all my life, and mostly only ever caught glimpses of them. Most are different shades of brown or black, and they just disappear into the landscape. But like the snowy mountains, mine was mottled shades of frosted grey and white, and so I'd always referred to him as the Grey. I've always been amazed by the brumbies that live up in these mountains, and that's what we're here to find. The Snowies can be a tough spot to venture in, but it's somewhere that I'm always excited to return to. Usually I come up here on my own, but this time I've brought some friends to help me. I've tried to find the Grey a few times since I first met him, but I've not seen him in over 2 years now. So I'm eager to get back into the mountains and see if we can finally catch up with him. These Southern Alps are an anomaly in Australia. They're the only place in the mainland where you can find snow-capped peaks.
If you want to find the snowy mountain brumbies, you have to drive up through the snow.
These mountains cover over 7,000 kilometres, and the brumbies can range almost anywhere across them. We're starting off in a place I've seen them before, and I'm hoping that if we can find any, it'll let me know if we're on the right track. These alpine meadows provide for easy foraging, and a scrub that gives them cover should let us creep in close without spooking them.
Just found a first herd of brumbies. They just disappeared behind the trees. The brumbies are Australia's famous wild horses. They're totally synonymous with the wild and rugged snowy mountain high country and insanely charismatic.
The brumbies were originally introduced up here over 200 years ago. Over time, they've become tougher than their ancestors and have made a home for themselves in the freezing Australian high country. It's an excellent sign that we found brumbies so soon into this expedition, and I'm hopeful that it means there may be more in this area. But it's not just any brumby that we're here to see. I'm searching for a particular stallion, one with a distinctively snowy grey coat. I first met the Grey when I was filming here a few years ago, and though I haven't seen him since, he left a profound impression on me.
Okay.
He stood out not just because of his uniquely camouflaged coat, but because he was so calm and seemed to be studying me as much as I him.
Well, most brumbies will just take off if they see a person in the field. But I guess I just mustn't have seemed that threatening to him sitting low in the grass. He'd been watching me for hours already, and at some point he just decided to walk right up to me. He was standing so close, I could feel his breath on me. It was just such an unusual encounter to have such a large wild animal actually choose to approach me. It's a moment I'll never forget.
That afternoon with the grey showed me how influential an intimate moment in nature can be, and I'd often reflected on my grey friend, how he was, what he was doing, and where was he now?
Okay, so we found brumbies yesterday, which was great, but not the one that we were looking for. The last time I actually saw the grey was along this ridge, right in here, but we can't get in there at the moment. Why's that? Because that's part of the aerial cull exclusion zone, and we're not allowed to get in there. And there's a significant overlap between the exclusion zone and his territory. So, as of right now, I have no idea where in the mountains he is, or if he's even still alive right now.
Because brumbies aren't native, the population is managed by trapping and culling. But the recent progression to aerial shooting from helicopters in these mountains aims to reduce the brumby population by over 80% in the next few years, and it's already begun. So the future of my grey is very uncertain. We're hiking up into the area that we encountered our first brumbies, hoping that maybe this is a local hotspot and that this time my grey might be visiting. It seems at least our instincts about this area are correct, but we stumbled across something else entirely.
So, it looks like we've come across a herd of young bachelors.
Once young stallions come of age, they're kicked out of their family herds, and instead of tackling the wilds alone, they join together in bands of bachelors. But they get together for more than just companionship.
Sometimes they'll spar and play fight with each other and make that squealing sound, sort of like that.
While it's all for practice for now, they're building the necessary skills for when it's time to challenge an established stallion, so it pays to be bold. And the more serious contenders take it further. "800 kilograms of testosterone-fueled muscle collide as the youngsters try to kick and bite their opponent into submission. Even though these are practice fights, one misplaced kick could shatter a bone and end in disaster for either of them.
One of them got a little bit too close to the other one's face, I think, and the line between play fighting and real fighting blurred. It looks like they're done for the day and they're moving off down the valley.
When I'd first encountered the grey, he was a young bachelor himself, but he'd be old enough to be a fully fledged stallion now, maybe even with his own herd. These youngsters often stay close to established herds, so I'm hoping that by following them, they may lead us to him. Sure enough, they've brought us to a clearing, and it's a brumby haven. There's several family groups enjoying the afternoon together, and better yet, I recognise one of the stallions. He's a well-established alpha, and the others look to him for guidance. But because he hasn't seen us as a threat, it's given some of the more curious brumbies permission to take a closer look at us. These brumbies were born and raised wild in these mountains, and so it's possible they've never seen a person up close before, and their curiosity is getting the better of them. Finding this many brumbies is really encouraging, and it's feeling like we're getting close to catching up with my grey. But nothing stays still in these mountains for long. The weather moves in and completely engulfs the mountains in white. The visibility is reduced to metres, and as the temperature continues to drop, the snowy mountains live up to their name.
Look at this.
As beautiful as the snow is, it's acting as a smokescreen for any brumbies in the area and making it even harder for us to keep track of where we are, practically reducing our chances of finding the grey to zero. So we're forced to turn back and wait it out. Eventually, the weather settles, but out of the mist emerges a sobering sight.
Oh no.
I'm struggling to process what we saw today, but thankfully my grey wasn't among them. I can't be sure what killed them, whether it be the cull or something else, and I can't help but worry about my grey and wonder if he's still here or if he's already shared their fate. It's hard to shake the feeling that we might be too late, but I'm not ready to give up hope that my grey is still out there. Fueled by a renewed sense of urgency, we decide to press on further into the mountains than we've ever been before.
Just over the exclusion zone.
We've scoured the countryside, and our search has pushed us far into unknown territory. But just as we're preparing to call it a day, we spot something.
What's going, Remy?
We've just seen a stallion across the valley. He's just come down from the tree line, and he looks exactly like my grey.
I can't be sure that it's him, but I'm rushing to put the camera together in case it is. We're right on the border of the exclusion zone, so I can't get any closer. I can only hope he might reveal himself to me. But just as I'm ready, he disappears.
I can't see him. I can just see his head.
This is the most promising sighting I've had. If I miss out now, I might not get another chance. I can hardly believe what I'm seeing. After all this time and searching, there he is. He looks even more impressive than he did years ago. But what's better, he's not alone. It would appear he's graduated from being a simple bachelor and now has a family of his own. He's come such a long way since I first saw him, and it's such a relief to see that he's okay.
It's just so fantastic to be seeing him over 2 years later, but now with a full family and just carrying out these incredible behaviours right here in front of us. I feel so privileged to have been able to find him again and then to witness that.
It seems he's decided it's time to go, and he leads his family back into the cover of the trees. It's been a wild mission trying to catch up with my grey, battling wind and snow and the expanse of the terrain, but it's been worth it to see him doing so well. I can only hope now to one day cross paths again with my old friend, the grey.